Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. Today is stage 7 of the Vuelta a España, the Tour of Spain. Another exciting day of racing again in 2020. I just keep repeating myself. It's like Groundhog's Day, but the racing is best this year than I've ever seen and intense every day. Today at the Vuelta, 2 big climbs, about a 105 mile race. Right away, big break, 15, 16 go, and then on the big climb, the first big climb of the stage, another break goes and bridges across. We're talking about 35 plus or minus riders. It's a massive size group, and a lot of the GC favorites have teammates in there. 3 from Jumbo-Visma, 3 from Movistar. Now we go back into the conundrum of there's so many guys in the break. They're not going to work well together. Behind, Ineos did a fantastic job of setting tempo all day. They rode regular when we hit the climb, and the next group attacked them, and then they bridged across, making that group too large. You know from behind when you're Team Ineos that a group of 36 could just blow the race apart, but it's really rare and almost never happens because chemistry is not there. You have to have chemistry in order to go fast, and when you have 36 guys, all guys that have a lot of teammates in the back that are on GC now, so they don't want to bring Valverde away, or they don't want to bring George Bennett or Sepp Kuss up the road. They don't want to come to the line with a Valverde who's super fast and gaining time on the GC favorites. So that causes negativity. In the group of 36, then when they hit the climb, you see a rider like Sepp Kuss attacking and going up the road. Now he's going to put the hurt on a lot of guys who aren't climbers. That's going to cause them later when they catch to know on the second big climb that it's just going to be a wash and repeat, so they don't want to work with guys who are pure climbers, because when they get to the top of the second climb on today's stage, it's all downhill to the finish, 20K. It's going to be hard to bring back a pure climber with fresh legs if he puts a minute on you going over the climb. Chemistry is everything. Ineos know there's no chemistry in the front group. They also know that EF Education with Hugh Carthy's sitting top 3 on the general classification. So when you have an Alejandro Valverde up there, when you have a George Bennett up there, if those 2 EF Education rider, Woods and his teammates, start riding on the front too, that puts Hugh Carthy's GC dangers there. So now, and trust me, EF Education would love to have a podium at the Vuelta or even a chance to be in red and win the thing. So Ineos, perfect. They ride steady. Yes, they're blowing up a lot of their guys, and they're left on the last climb with just one Andre Amador to ride to the finish, okay? Now let's get to 22K to go on the last climb. Woodsy, he puts in Michael Woods, EF Education. Everybody calls him Woodsy. Puts in an amazing dig. This was a difference on today's stage versus what I talked about Woods in the break on stage 6. Stage 6, he jumped early when it wasn't on the difficult part of the climb. Yes, they're still going up a little bit, but it's not the real pitch of 10, 12%. So he jumps early. They bring him back. That hurts the legs. Then you see where the Astana rider takes off and wins the stage, and Ion Izagirre does a great job of winning the stage, but Woods gets second on the stage. Now, fast forward. He's perfect. Woods goes at the right time. He's followed wheels. He's done a little bit of work at the front, but in general, you never see him because EF doesn't want that break to gain a lot of time anyways. They just want to get a chance at winning the stage. Rotates through, does his work. 22K to go, he jumps. Now I want you to look at the video. At the video, you'll see that right behind, it's George Bennett and Alejandro Valverde start looking at each other like this. When they look at each other like this, neither one wants to close the gap to Woodsy. Woodsy extends the gap. Alejandro Valverde, being the veteran he is, knows that there's a possible attack coming from the left side, so he looks left because he's waiting for who else? He's waiting for Sepp Kuss to come and attack. Now, you know George, he's got George on his right, so reality is it's going to be the next Jumbo-Visma rider that's coming, so he's looking for Sepp. Then he looks left. Sepp comes up to him, is ready to go, realizes that Valverde spotted him. They all shut it down. Woods gets his gap. As soon as Woods gets a gap, on the next picture I'll show you, he grabs his radio. That's the radio the management and the director behind that's following the race of the break, he's radioing, I'm off, I'm clean, I'm going for it. That's what he's saying. From there, it's a time trial with Woods. He's got to go over the top and gain as much time as he can. It's crucial. Later on the climb, you see Valverde jump, and he ends up bridging, and now he's with a good-sized group, 4 or 5 guys, and they're working well together. They're really well. They're well-oiled, and they bring Woodsy back along the descent. The problem is now, Woods knows he can't beat Valverde, okay? Valverde's a threat on GC. If he wants to gain time on GC, Valverde has to drive it all the way to the line. Woods knows that. EF education directors for sure must know that, because that's why you see Woods sitting on. He has every right to sit on. The problem is, once Woods sits on, that means the other guys in that break are going to start sitting on too, because one, they most likely can't beat Valverde in the sprint, and they certainly aren't going to be able to handle a fresh Woods if he's sitting on, who's raced perfectly up to this point. So it's cat and mouse between the leaders all the way to the line, and Woods finally gets his gap, jumps, wins the stage. Perfect. Look at stage 6 where he messed up. Look at today where he's perfect. He wins the stage. Now we go back to the GC guys where you see Ineos. Yes, they used up their whole team, but they didn't touch Andre Amador. He rode just part way up the climb steady, and then of course he's in the super tuck down the descent and riding steady and smooth all the way to the line. The group in front was so disorganized that they couldn't even gain time on one Ineos rider pulling for 20K. That's how disorganized the group was in the front. It's always disorganized when it's a group this size. Goes back to what I already said on the butterfly effect. Once you get into a group of this size, Movistar are better off riding 2 of their guys on the front. Jumbo-Visma figure out which guy they're going to ride for, either Sepp or George Bennett. George is higher on GC. Sepp's probably the better climber, but George is higher on GC. So run 2 of your Jumbo guys, run 2 of your Movistar guys on the front, drill it as hard as you can, put Ineos into trouble. Leave 1 fresh Jumbo guy and 1 fresh Alejandro Valverde to battle it out on the last climb. Those guys would have gained much more time on the GC had they come into that last climb fresh, instead of sending Sepp Kuss up the road trying to steal mountain points and gaining time early in the stage just to lose it and get brought back from the break. Much better off relying on your teammates. Once you're in a break without your teammates, like you saw Valverde going to the finish line, he's going to get attacked, and you can't control the scenario. If you have more than 1 teammate with you, you can control the scenario. If you have 3 teammates, you ride 2 on the front, you can control today's scenario. Movistar chose not to do it. Jumbo-Visma had 3 in the break. They chose not to ride 2 on the front. They can't control the scenario. Now it's chaos and guys attacking left and right. George Bennett's legs were shot today at the finish. Sepp Kuss's legs were shot today at the finish. You traded 2 queens, 2 of your top domestique guys, super domestique guys in the mountain to be able to stay with their leader, Primos Roglic, on tomorrow's stage. Now, what we'll see on tomorrow's stage, normally you'd see Jumbo-Visma hit the last finishing summit climb and drill it. They might still be capable of doing that, but remember, they had a hard stage 6. Sepp Kuss was already in breaks on earlier before stage 6. Now he's in the break again, covering moves left and right, just sticking nails in the legs everywhere you can. George Bennett, same thing, sticking nails everywhere in his legs. So on tomorrow's stage, when normally you see those guys really drilling it and pulling Primos Roglic away from Carapaz, now they're not going to have that fresh power to hit on that last climb. Carapaz might have tired out a lot of his domestiques today, but he still has fresh legs himself for that last climb tomorrow. And guys like Sepp Kuss, George Bennett, their legs are not fresh on tomorrow's stage. So look and see on tomorrow's stage, when you're watching it, just see if they got the legs are fresh or not fresh to dislodge Carapaz on tomorrow's climb. Could be now Primos Roglic is left all on his own on the last climb. Carapaz possibly too, but that's a different scenario. Jumbo-Visma is the one we're focusing on right now. They have used up both their 2 best climbers on multiple stages back to back. One more quick thing. I want to go back to stage 6 because it's the big topic, right? Primos Roglic changing his jacket. Primos Roglic putting on a rain jacket is the way everybody says it happened. That wasn't the case. You look back at about 40 kilometers to go. They passed by the Soigneurs. The Soigneurs passed up their jackets. If you noticed, before that, Primos Roglic already has a rain jacket on. Guys, he was literally changing a wet rain jacket for a dry rain jacket. It started raining with about 80K to go in yesterday's stage. So he had worn that jacket for only 40 kilometers. They come up near the summit of the last descent before you start the final climb in the stage. Primos Roglic decided to take off his wet jacket just so that he can put on a dry new one. And while that's happening, of course, Ineos and Movistar are drilling it over the top of the climb so that they can be at the front for the descent. Now, I don't know if they saw Primos Roglic changing his jacket and having problems, and that's why they drilled it. Because a lot of times in bike races, when you go over when you're hitting the last descent, it's crazy. It's in the rain and you're coming into the last climb at the bottom of that descent. There's always going to be a team that wants to drill it as fast as they can. Primos Roglic, in my belief, had no reason. You already had a rain jacket on. You don't take the risk of changing jackets when you're that close to the summit. A lot of fans say, well, maybe they shouldn't have waited. You even see where Jumbo-Visma argued that they said it kind of quietly. They took the blame, but they did mention that the other teams are attacking while he's changing a jacket. I'm sorry, folks. I would have liked it if everyone stopped when I wanted to have a Coke and a Snickers, but they don't do that in bike racing. And you know that. So they're not going to stop so that you can get warmer for the descent while they wear their wet jacket over the descent and into the final climb. It was a bad decision from Jumbo-Visma, and they paid the price for it. And I wonder on today's stage if they were riding angry, and you never want to ride angry, and they put two of their top super domestiques in that move, but really achieved nothing by doing it other than putting more nails into the legs. Hope you enjoyed the butterfly effect, and I'll see you guys real soon, and we'll talk about the 2004 World Championship jersey posted up right here next to me on the left. Hope you enjoyed the show. Like and subscribe.